I've got the key in, turning it on. Let's see what happens. Let's see what's here and what isn't. Well, it looks like everything is there still, so we'll go through with the code scanner and we will diagnose what's going on with this truck. Hey guys, this is Keith and let me try to fix this 5000. I wanted to go through a couple things with you guys real quick, and I wanted to show you what was wrong with the airbag on my truck. I'm also going to go over the cost involved with repairing it. So let's dive right in and see what we can figure out. Related things for this truck totaled a little over $1,000. I did factor in the steering wheel, and I could have found a steering wheel quite a bit cheaper, but I did like the look of the carbon fiber steering wheel that I purchased for the truck. I think it looks freaking awesome. So anyway, $375 for it. Obviously the airbag on the driver's side popped, so I also replaced it at a price of $179. There's not really too much I can say about swapping one steering wheel to the other. It's pretty much plug and play. You're going to need Torx bits and some screwdrivers and probably a pair of pliers, but that's about it. The harness is fairly easy to disassemble, and the plastic trim on either side of the airbag snap into place. There is a weighted rubber piece in the back of the steering wheel with 4 rubber spacers that fit through the cast of the steering wheel. They are a bit of a pain in the butt to get back into the steering wheel. I tried a little bit of soap and ultimately ended up using just a little bit of WD-40 to lubricate them and a jeweler screwdriver to work them into place. The steering wheel controls on either side of the airbag are the same way. They snap into place. Obviously the original steering wheel I had was bent at the top. The new one I got is part leather and has carbon fiber at the top and at the bottom. Also, the surrounds around the controls on either side of the airbag are carbon fiber. In addition to swapping out the steering wheel and the airbag, I also replaced the clock spring behind the steering wheel. I'll show you guys how to do that in this next part, so just stay tuned and check this out. Okay, so this is the clock spring, and there's just a little bit of hardware that holds this thing to the truck. There are 3 T10 Torx bits screws that need to come out of this thing, as well as 1 7/32 bolt. Once the hardware has been removed, this thing comes out just like that. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to hook up the new one. This is the new one. This is the one that came off the truck. And as you can see, there's something added to the back of the one that came off the truck. We're going to remove that and attach that to the new clock spring. The steering sensor, or the steering angle sensor, is a critical part of the electronic stability control of the F-150s and the Raptors, and it's used to measure the steering wheel position angle and the rate of return. That kind of stuff is used for traction control and ABS. On the back of the clock spring, there is this corner here. It's going to mate up with this dial on the steering column. I'd like to hear about your experiences. If you got something that happened to you when you got into an impact with your Raptor or your F-150, hit me up. I'd like to know how you repaired it if you did it yourself, what you run into, what you had to replace. I'd like to know more about what's happened to you guys. The airbag sensor that I replaced is located just beside the radiator. This is it right here. And I replaced the impact sensor, which is this. I also replaced this pigtail. I crimped and soldered and heat shrunk around it. I felt like that was the most secure way to make sure that was a great connection. From that, if a crash occurs that goes underneath of the center console to a box down here, that box is basically the brain for the airbag system, and it gets signals from the airbag sensors, from the seats, from the steering wheel, from the dash, from several different places on the truck to determine if there was an impact. It also collects data from the steering wheel for steering angle, and also from the ABS. It also sees if the brakes were pressed during a collision. From that, the signal goes to the clock spring, which is back here behind the steering wheel. The clock spring is the wiring that goes from the box down here to the dash, and then what the clock spring is kind of like a disc with little fingers that spin around and keep your wires from getting bunched up when you make a big turn like that right there. From the clock spring, the signal goes to the airbag, and then if there's an impact caused from one of the sensors on the truck, it causes the airbag to explode. And it also determines, based off of the impact, if the side curtain airbag should blow, or if the steering wheel airbag should blow, or the one there, or the one in the seat over there. And once it makes those determinations, either one airbag pops or a bunch of airbags pop. But anyway, that's basically the whole system in a nutshell. If you've got questions, by all means hit me up. I'll try to answer them if I can. I'll try to tell you about the experience I've had trying to get this thing back together. I did want to touch on this real quick. This is my Foxwell NT650 scan tool that also is a programmer. And after I got everything put back together on the truck, I still had the airbag dash light. And I tried resetting a handful of these codes, but still could not get the codes to go out. What the problem was with the passenger seat. On F150s with power seats, I had to calibrate the position of the passenger seat. It was relatively easy to do. The Foxwell scanner actually has a function built into it to calibrate the seat. It is basically telling the computer that there's someone in it, and also the position of how close they are to the dash. Tells you to turn the ignition back off. So the ignition's off. Press any key to continue. Set the ignition back on, which it is. System passed, no faults found. So that's it. And like I said, if you look up at the dash, there are no faults there. Everything seems to be pretty good, so I'm okay with that. And I think I've got a good working airbag system, so I'm pretty stoked about that. All the dash lights are out, no problems, everything seems to look good. This is the first time I've had this vehicle cranked up and not had a Christmas tree full of lights on the dash. Anyway, that is about it. If you've got other questions about the airbag system on this, please hit me up. I'll try to answer them if I can. Anyway, that's all I got for now. Thanks for watching. I hope to have some more videos out really soon of this truck. Thanks.